So, good morning, all of you. Let's start our today's class. Microprocessor and microcontroller. Yes, previous 2 or 3 classes, if you remember, just we have started with the brief introduction to the 8086 processor, and we have slightly seen the different architectural point of view. What are the different components that are associated in the 8086 microprocessor? Today we will see the different registers, different programming modes, and the different addressing modes that will be associated with the 8086 microprocessor. Before that, I want to share my document or the PDF. Then we will start our discussion. So I think the screen is visible. So if you remember, the last class we have completed, or we have basically ended our discussion with the architectural point of view, or the block diagram of the architecture of the 8086 microprocessor. That was the last topic we have discussed in our previous class. And in this architectural concept, or in this architecture, we have seen the BIU, the EU, that means this particular bus interface unit, and the execution unit. And the bus interface unit, what are the different components, or what are the different things that we can see? We have identified. And in case of execution unit, what are the different things we can get, that we have discussed. So after a long time, we are meeting again. For this session, briefly, I want to just recapitulate the thing. So if you remember about the execution unit, what was the task of the execution unit? Execution unit is basically controlling the circuitry. That means the controlling the basic operations, or controlling the basic actions of the 8086, which directs internal operations. That means all the internal operations, all the associated operations are connected, are associated with the 8086, with the execution unit architecture. So the execution unit has a 16-bit arithmetic, that means the ALU. Obviously, we know the function of the ALU, arithmetic logic unit. What are the different functions that they can perform? Addition, subtraction, and, or, XOR, increment, decrement, complement, or shift binary number. So these are the different types of operations that can be performed, or that can be basically completed using the execution unit. So if you see the main functions of the EU, we have subdivided into 2 sections. One portion is called the decoding the instructions. That means the instruction that we want to perform, that should be decoded. And this decoding, this particular operation will be performed with the execution unit. And the another thing is basically the executions of the instructions, because different types of instructions, different type of settings of the instructions, different type of columns, different type of sets of instructions we are giving to the execution unit, and step by step the execution unit basically perform the tasks. Steps that are involved, or the associated with the execution unit, that we have pointed out. First one, AU extracts the instruction from top of queue in BIU. We know the queue architecture, so stack by stack, position by position, the queue instructions are there, will be there, and from this queue we are basically fetching the instructions that will be executed one by one. That is the normal phenomenon. Point number 2, that is a decode the instructions. Different type of instructions we have to decode, because we have to fetch the instruction, we have to internally extract the information that are associated with the instruction. So that things we should perform using the BIU, execution unit. Point number 3, generates operands if necessary. We know when we will discuss the programming and all these things, we will discuss about this particular operation and all these things. That is the secondary part, but we know the different types of operands will be generated if there is a requirement. If there is need, then generating different types of necessary operands. Passes operands to BIU and requests it to perform read or write bus cycles to memory or IO. That means depending upon the instruction, depending upon the sets of operations that we are giving, depending upon that, we are fetching the instruction, or we are completing the read operation or write operation, or whatever may be the nature of the instruction, that should be associated depending upon the instruction set that we are giving. And the last point that we have mentioned under this execution unit, that is the perform the operation specified by the instructions on operand. So different types of operations we are giving, so step-by-step operation we have to perform to get the specified instructions on the operands. So these are the basic tasks. So many associated tasks are there. So these are the basic tasks that are associated with the execution unit. Next thing we want to basically see, that is the BIU architecture, that means the bus interface unit architecture. So what is the task of this BIU? BIU has basically the set the different addresses, fetches the instructions from memory, reads data from ports and memory, and writes data to ports and memory. So input output operations may be controlled, may be operated, may be executed using this BIU unit. Point 2 or the column number 2, they have mentioned in simple words, the BIU handles all transfers of data and addresses on the buses from the execution unit. So that is the preliminary of the basic tasks that are associated with the BIU. So just briefly, because we are going to the details. So for this reason, briefly, I have mentioned the two different portions. One is the tasks or the basic operation of the execution unit. Another part we have seen, that is the basic tasks of the bus interface unit. Next, the 8086 has pipeline architecture. So this is the first term we are using this particular phenomenon, that is the pipelining. Pipelining means basically we will now do the parallel processing. Parallel processing means simultaneously we will perform the operations that will be operated, that may be operated in a particular time domain, specific time domain into two different paths. That is a specialty in case of pipeline architecture. In case of 8085 architecture or in the previous basic architecture, we have not seen this pipelining operation. This is the first time in case of 8086 microprocessor. This is the first time we are introducing this pipeline architecture. So 8086 as pipeline architecture, what are the different things we can see in case of pipelining that I want to mention. First one, if you see while the XU is decoding an instruction or execution an instruction, which does not require use of the buses, the BIU fetches up to 6 instructions byte for the following instructions. So different types of instruction sets we are extracting. So 6 instruction bytes. So that is the structure. From the structural point of view, this is the structural point of view we are getting. So 6 instruction bytes, we are following the instruction of, we are fetching the instructions. Point number 2, the BIU stores these prefetch bytes in a first in, first out. That is a FIFO-based operation. FIFO-based operation will obviously will be monitored, will be operated using the which architecture? Using the register-based architecture. So first in, first out register set called a queue. Obviously, we have mentioned the term, that is the queue architecture we will follow. So queue means one by one. And in this case, different types of mechanism we can follow in the queue architecture. That may be first in, first out, first in, first out, last in, first out, last in, last out. These are the different types of architecture from the operation point of view. These are the different points or the different structural points of operations we can perform. But in this case, what we will perform, we will maintain the sequence like this. The first in, first out register set called a queue. In this case, the queue will be maintained like this. The instruction will be first executed, or the first come that will be first executed. When the U is ready, that means the execution unit is ready for its next instruction from the queue in the BIU. This is much faster than sending out an address of the system memory and waiting for memory to send back the next instruction byte or bytes. In case of our computer also, if you think about certain things that will be fetched from the main memory, that will take some time. But if you see some parallel memory or cache memory, now this term is very popular in your computer, you may get this term, that is the L1 cache, L2 cache. So the different types of cache memory we are using. So this cache memory or the cache memory, this is the basically a type of instantaneous accession of the data from a registered or the pre-registered version storage. In case of main memory access, there are certain time-consuming approach. So for this reason, we generally, if possible, for a small instruction set or for a repetitive instruction set, we avoid to access the main memory in each and every time. Next point, except in the case of JMP and the call. So JMP means that is a jump instruction. So except there are certain cases, except in the cases of the JMP and the call instructions where the queue must be dumped and then reloaded starting from a new address. This prefetch and queue greatly speeds up processing. I have already mentioned why you are approaching this queue instruction set or the queue operation, because that will faster, that will boot up the operation, that will not slow down the operation, that will quickly, that will give the quick operation or the quick circulation of the data from one point or from one part of the instruction set to the another part of the instruction set. That is the beauty. So for this reason, this type of approach or this type of mechanism we are following. Point number last, that is the fetching the next instruction while the current instruction executes is called the pipelining. So in case of pipelining, what is the advantage? The advantage is that we can easily speed up the operation of the microprocessor. That is the main intention, because we want to get fastest operation. We want to get a very speedy operation. So for this reason, fetching the next instruction that we are getting, that should be processed such a way that when some instruction is basically going on, the next instruction, then and then we are fetching the data, because we are prepared, or we are preparing ourselves to execute the next instruction at the same time. This is called the pipelining. This is the beauty of the pipelining architecture. So 8086 has its own quality, has its structural advantage that can follow the pipelining architecture. In case of pipelining architecture, what are the different points I have mentioned? Just briefly, we can go to the different bullet points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points we have mentioned. So first point, while the U is decoding an instruction or executing an instruction which does not require use of the buses. So buses requirement or the data channel requirements are not there. The BIU fetches up to 6 instructions bytes for the following instruction. This is the first thing we are getting. Point number 2, the BIU stores these prefetched bytes in a first in first out register set called a queue. So this queue based architecture we are following, and which type of architecture we are maintaining? FIFO architecture. That is the first in first out basis architecture we are following. Point number 3, when the execution unit of the U is ready for its next instruction from the queue in the BIU, this is much faster than the sending out an address to the system memory and waiting for memory to send back the next instruction bytes or bytes. So speedy up operation. So there is no need to alter time, and there is no requirement to access the main memory data. Next one, except in the case of the JMP and the call, so 2 different instructions, that is a, we can say that is an exception case. So JMP and the call instructions, so at the queue must be dumped and when reloaded starting from a new address, this prefetch and queue scheme greatly speeds up processing. So the processing speed will be increased, the processing speed maybe directly or the fastly increased during this process. Next one, fetching the next instruction while the current instruction executes is called the pipelining. So pipelining architecture we are following. So pipelining means the same thing. When a certain data we are processing or the certain instruction set we are processing, at the same time we are preparing, the processor is preparing itself for the next upcoming instruction. So that is the beauty. That is called the pipelining. That will speed up the operation. Obviously, that is the pipeline architecture. Next thing, because different types of registers, if you remember the architecture, we have mentioned different points of the ES, CS, SS, DS, IP, in this case, AH, AL, BH, BL, CH, CL, CL, DH, DL. So this H means that is the high and L means low. I have already mentioned these terms, but what are the different functions of the registers in detail we have not yet seen. So now we'll discuss about the different functions and the operations of the registers. So if you see the register organization, that is our next topic. So what is this register organization? That will be discussed under the 8086 architecture, because 8086 architecture, the register organization is a very important task or the very important part. 8086 has a powerful set of registers known as general purpose registers and special purpose registers. So broadly, we can classify the 8086 register set into 2 different units or the 2 different sets. One is called the general purpose register, another is called the special purpose register. So general purpose register and the special purpose register, remember these 2 terms. Point number 2, all of them are 16-bit registers. Already we have mentioned that this 8086 is a 16-bit processor. So all of them are 16-bit registers. They are basically 16-bit operation we can perform using this 8086 microprocessor. Point number 3, general purpose register, what are the classification? These registers can be used as either 8-bit registers or 16-bit registers. So depending upon the sets of instructions, depending upon the operations requirement, depending upon the instruction sets, we can basically go for the 8-bit register or 16-bit register operation. That is the unique quality that the 8086 has. Point number 2, they may be either used for holding data, variables and intermediate results temporary, or for the purpose of like a counter, or for storing offset address for some particular addressing modes, etc. We know because in case of the previous cases also we have seen what is this 8086 architectural point of view and what are the different stacks of the registers, because in case of 8085 microprocessor also, in case of digital electronics also, we have seen the different tasks of the registers. So register means that is a 1-bit storage data, and 8-bit means that means we can store 8-bit data. 16-bit means we can store maximum up to 16-bit data. So that is the that are the different qualities that the register has. So in this case, the general purpose registers, if you see the classification, two broad classifications they are giving or providing. First one, these registers can be used as either 8-bit register or 16-bit register. That can be implemented, that can be used as a 8-bit register or 16-bit register. Point number two, they may be either used for holding data, variables, and intermediate results. So these are the three different tasks that can hold data, that can data or variable, whatever may be. Variable means that are the different temporary variable we are keeping intact. And intermediate results, that means the suppose we are performing on addition tasks or subtraction tasks, so some intermediate results or via the memory operation, some intermediate stages are there. So to store the temporary data for a certain region or the certain time period, we are implementing this intermediate results temporary, or for the purpose like a counter on for storing offset address for some particular addressing modes, etc. Point number two, special purpose register. What is the special purpose register? What is the task? According to our PDF, according to our note, these registers are used as segment register, pointers, index registers, or as offset storage registers for particular addressing modes. So very specific. Special purpose registers has a very specific amount of tasks. What are the different tasks? What are the segmented tasks we have mentioned? So these registers are used as a segment register. This is the first point. That can be used as a pointer, index registers, as well as the offset storage register. So these are the four different tasks we have mentioned using this special purpose register. Now, the next point that we are going for, just 1 minute. So the special purpose register has certain distinct operation or the distinct segmented operation, that is segment register, pointers, index register, or an offset storage data. So different types of operations we can see using this particular format or using this particular task of the special purpose register. Next point that we want to discuss, that is the 8086 registers are classified into the following types. Different types of registers we have seen. So we have to see what are the different tasks, different associated tasks that will be performed by the registers. So if we see the next topic, that is the next bullet point, you will see the 8086 registers are classified into the following types. So that is the classification of the registers in case of 8086. First one is the general data register. Second one we have already seen, that is the segment register. Next one, pointers and index registers, and the last one is the flag register. If you study microprocessor before, for the lateral students, I want to mention the point. I think you have studied the 8085 microprocessor in detail. In case of 8085 microprocessor also, you have seen this particular term, flag register, this pointer, index register. These are the different terms already you have studied. But in case of 8086, we are basically going again to the classification or justifications of the allotments, different register allotments that will be mentioned under the 8086 register. So first one, if you see, that is called the general data register. Point number two, that is called the segment registers. Point number three, that is called the pointers and index register. Point number four, that is called the flag register. The register set of the 8086 can be categorized into four different groups. Already we have mentioned the four different groups. So the four different groups already you have seen. That is called the general data register, segment register, pointer, and the flag register. And now we will see what are the different according to the block diagram, what are the different architecture, what are the different names that we have already given, and what are the associated with the names, what are the different architectural point of view, what are the different classifications of the justifications we are getting. So first one, general data register. So if you see AHAL, BHBL, CHCL, DHDL. So how many AX, BX, CX, DX? This X is basically depending on the value of the X, we may classify the H and the L. H and the L mean that is the high or low. So that is the general data register classification. Next, we have seen the segment register. CS, SS, DS, ES, that are called the segment registers. Next, we have to classify, that is the flags or PSW. That means the pointer or the this particular index registers. This is the part of the next unit. And last one is the basically, if you see the SP, BP, the SI, DI, IP, that is pointers index register they have mentioned, and obviously flag register is there. So four different classifications means, according to our slide, according to our note, the first classification is the general data register. And in case of general data register, we have seen the classification AHAL, BHBL, CHCL, DHDL. These are the classifications, and AX, BX, CX, DX. These are the normal classification. So X will ultimately denote the value high or low we are getting. Next, segment register, CS, SS, DS, ES. These are the segment registers. Then if you see the flow, you will find that flags as or / PSW segmented, they are mentioned. And the last one, if you see, that is called the SP, BP, SI, DI, IP. These are the parts that is called the pointers and index registers. So these are the broad classifications. This is the general classifications of the register units that we are finding out in case of 8086 microprocessor. This particular part is very important, because without knowing the architecture, without knowing the internal register structure of the 8086, we cannot comment. We cannot go further, or we cannot move further using the microprocessor, because different operations, different programming attitudes that are directly involved with the different registers that just now we have mentioned. Again, I want to just briefly mention the different topics that you have mentioned in today's class till now. First, we have started with the new topic. We have started with the 8086 pipeline architecture. In this case of 8086, the first time we have introduced the term that is called the pipelining. And the pipelining means we are holding, or we are accessing one instruction, and for a certain, at that time, we are holding the next instruction set, or we are operating the next instruction set at a same time. That is called the pipelining. What is the purpose? What is the advantage? The advantage is that the processor will be too much speedy. The processor speed will be increased. Next, if you see, that we have discussed about the register organization part, classification of the register. We have classified the thing in case of two different parts. One is called the general purpose register, another is called the special purpose register. These are the normal two classification we have seen. All of these registers, what are the number of bits? That is the 16-bit registers. We have mentioned that this is a 16-bit register architecture. General purpose register, we have seen what are the different tasks of the general purpose register. We have mentioned the general purpose register can be used as either 8-bit register or 16-bit register. So depending upon the requirement, depending upon the need, we can basically operate these things as a 8-bit or 16-bit. Dual operation mode we can perform in this case. Next point, they may be either used for holding data. What are the different tasks that might hold the data, that might hold the variables, that might intermediate results temporary, or for other purpose like a counter, or for storing offset address for some particular addressing boards, etc. Next one, for the special purpose register, these registers are used as the segment register, pointers, index registers, or as offset storage registers for particular addressing modes. So different types of operations, different types of requirements we are finding out using the register set. Next, what we have seen the special purpose register, because the general purpose register, these are the basic tasks. In case of special purpose register, these registers are used as segment register, pointers, index registers, or as offset storage registers. So what are the different names, or what are the different tasks we have mentioned? Segment registers, pointers, index registers, as well as the offset storage registers for particular addressing modes. The 8086 registers are classified into the following types. So what are the different types we have mentioned? One is called the general data register. Next one is called the segment register. Third one is called the pointers and the index register. And the last one is called the flag register. So general data register, segment register, pointers and the index registers. And the last one is basically called the flag register. So these are the four classifications we have seen. Then we have seen the architecture. From the architecture point of view, what are the different justifications or what are the different points that are associated with the different types of registers. So general data registers, that means this AHAL, BHBL, CHCL, DHDL. So this is the same register, AX, BX, CX, DX. These are the register name, and only difference is that in this case, that is high and low. That means the AH means H means high, L means low. So these are the different points we are getting. So AH means A with the high, A with the low. BH means B with the high, B with the low. CH means C with the high, C with the low. And DH means D with the high, and DL means D with the low. So for this reason, this X value, if you see this, don't be afraid. This X is basically denoting the value for H and L. These are the tags. Next, we are finding out the segment register. What is the segment register? This CS, SS, DS, ES, these are called the segment registers. Obviously, another unit is there that is called the flags/PSW. So flags means the flag register we are talking about, flags and the PSW. These are the different points we are getting. And the last part that is called the pointers and the index registers. Pointers and the index registers. So SP, BP, SI, DI, IP, these are the different pointers as well as the index register. P means pointer. So SP, BP are basically, if you see the notation, SP and the BP, these are the pointers, and this SI, DI, and this particular two terms, SI and DI, these are called the index registers. So IP is different part. We will see. So different portions of the different operations. Till this portion, if you have any doubt, please ask me. Till up to this, if you have any doubt, if you have any query, please ask me, or we can proceed further. We may proceed. Or if you have any doubt, you may ask. Okay. So can we proceed further? We are proceeding. Next, if you see, that is now we will study in detail. That is the general data register. What is this general data register and what are the different points we are getting? The registers AX, BX, CX, and DX are the general purpose 16-bit register. That is a very vital point. So this register AX, BX, CX, and DX, this is called the general purpose register. And obviously this is the 16-bit register. That is not a 8-bit register. So this is called the 16-bit register. Next point. Next point, if you see, that is the AX is used as 16-bit accumulator. So that is the first information, first important information we are getting from this particular point, that AX, this AX, A is the accumulator. So AX is used as 16-bit accumulator. The lower 8-bit is designated as AL, and higher 8-bit is designated as AH. So I have already mentioned the L means the low, high means H means the high. So when we are talking about the lower 8-bit, that will be designated as the AL, and the higher 8-bit will be designated as the AH. AL can be used as the 8-bit accumulator for 8-bit operation. Obviously, this that is the 8-bit restriction is there. That means that is a certain amount of region, certain amount of boundary you have to mention. So this AL can be used as 8-bit accumulator for 8-bit operation. Point number 3, the third point. All data register can be used as either 16-bit or 8-bit. That is a very crucial point. That is a very important point in this case. All data register we are getting can be used, can be operated as either 16-bit or 8-bit. BX obviously is a 16-bit register, but BL indicates the lower 8-bit of the BX and BH indicates the higher 8-bit of BX. So obviously BX, that means that is a total bit, number of bit is 16-bit. But this BL and the BH, two classification of the two clarifications are there. So obviously, according to the clarification, BL indicates the lower 8-bit of the BX and BH indicates the higher 8-bit of the BX. So these are the two classifications we are getting. Point number 3, the register BX is used as offset storage for forming physical address in case of certain addressing modes. So that is an extra task. That is the extra added task we are getting for the BX register. What is the task? The register BX is used for the used as offset storage for forming physical addresses in case of certain addressing modes. Point number 4, the register CX is used for default counter. So specific tax is there. CX will be used as a default counter in case of string and loop operations. So specific tax for the specific amount of register. So for the register CX, that is a designated tax that is called the default counter in case of the string, and obviously the loop of instruction. For a specific purpose of operation, we are using this instruction set. Next point, DX register is general purpose register, which may be used as an implicit operand or destination in case of a few instructions. So that is a implicit operation operand means that is a dedicated type of operation will be used, or we are using that is a DX register in general purpose register, which may be used as an implicit operand, that is a or the destination in case of a few instructions. That are the tasks. Again, I am repeating, for the general purpose general data register, what are the different tasks for the different purpose of registers we are getting. Just 1 minute. So general data register, what are the different tasks we have mentioned? So first is basically the data register, AX, BX, CX, and the TX are the general purpose 16-bit register we are finding out from this particular set. This is this particular general purpose register we are talking about. So general data register, what are the different sets of data registers we are getting? So general data register AX, BX, CX, and the DX are the general purpose 16-bit register. Point number 2. AX is used as a 16-bit accumulator. That is called the A is for the accumulator, 16-bit accumulator. The lower 8-bit is designated as the AL, and the higher 8-bit will be designated as the AH. So two classification is there. Lower 8-bit that will be called as the AL, and the higher 8-bit will be called as the AH. AL can be used as an 8-bit accumulator for 8-bit operations. So obviously from the name it is clear for the H and the low, that is the high and the low. So the restriction is up to 8-bit. AL can be so obviously this AL for the A for the accumulator. So AL can be used as an 8-bit accumulator for 8-bit operation. Next one, all data register can be used as an either 16-bit or 8-bit. That is the specialty. This data register can be operated in a 16-bit mode or 8-bit mode. BX is a 16-bit register, but BL indicates the lower 8-bit of BX and BH indicates the higher 8-bit of BX. So these are the classifications. The BX is a 16, obviously BX is a 16-bit register, but BL indicates the lower 8-bit of the BX and the BH indicates the higher 8-bit. So 16-bit total 16-bit, 8-bit and the 8-bit classification divisions are there. 8 plus 8 total 16-bit operation you can perform. Point number 3, all data register can be used as either 16-bit or 8-bit. So either 16-bit operation or 8-bit operation, depending upon the requirement, depending upon the set of instructions, we can follow these steps. So BX is a 16-bit register, but BL indicates the lower 8-bit. So the register BX is used for the offset storage. So BX, what is the task of this particular BX? That can be used as an offset storage for forming physical address in case of the certain addressing modes. Next point, the register CX is used default counter in case of string and loop operations. So the register CX, another register is there, CX register set. So this CX is used default counter, that is the task of the default counter in case of the string and loop operations. So string and the loop are the different types of operations are there, string operation and the loop operation. And the last point, that is called the DX register, is a general purpose register which may be used as an implicit operand or destination in case of a few instructions. So DX register is a general purpose register which may be used as an implicit operand or destination in case of a few instructions. These are the tasks. Now the second part, that is called the segment registers, because that is the equally important part. So what is the task of the segment register? There are 4 segment registers. So obviously, if you see the picture, you can find out what are the different segment registers: 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 segment registers we are getting. Now we'll see what are the different tasks of this particular 4 segment register. So these are the 4 segment registers. They are first one is the code segment register, that is called the CS. First one, that is called the code segment register, CS. Next, data segment register, DS. Next one is called the extra segment register, that is called the ES, and the last one is stack segment register, SS. So first one is the code segment register, that is called the CS. Next one is called the data segment register, that is called the DS. Third one is called the extra segment register, that is called the ES. And the last one is called the stack segment register, that is called the SS. So these are the four classifications of the segment register that we are getting: CS, DS, ES, and the SS. Now we will just go to the details of these different types of registers. Just now we have mentioned the name, the different segment register name we have just now mentioned. The 8086 architecture used the concept of the segmented memory. Segmented means the slotted type of thing. Segmented means, again I am repeating, that is a slotted kind of thing. So segmented memory. 8086 able to address a memory capacity of 1 megabyte and it is byte organized. So that is the new thing. We have already seen how many data, how many byte that can handle. So that is a 1 megabyte, up to 1 megabyte that can handle, and it is byte organized. This 1 megabyte memory is divided into 16 logical segments. So 16 logical associations of the 16 logical segmented parts we can get here. Each segment contains 64 kilobytes of memory. Each segmented part will contain 64 kilobytes of memory instruction. Each segmented part, each part will contain the 64 kilobytes of memory. That is the new thing, or that is a new information that we are extracting from this particular portion. So the segmented memory 8086 able to address a memory capacity of up to what is the amount? 1 megabyte instruction, 1 megabyte, up to 1 megabyte instruction that can perform, and it is byte organized. That is the, if you see the structural point of view, there is a byte organized structure. This 1 megabyte memory is divided into 16 logical segments. How many logical segments we are getting? 16 logical segments we are getting. Each segment contains 64 kilobytes of memory. Each segmented part is getting 64 kilobytes of memory. First one we will see, that is the code segment register, that is the CS. Code segment register is used for addressing memory location in the code segment of the memory where the executable program is stored. So that is the task of the code segment register. What is the task? I am again repeating. The CS, or the code segment register, is used for addressing memory location in the code segment of the memory where the executable program is stored. That is the program that will be executed, the program that will be associated or that will be going on, that should be processed, or that should be stored in this particular location of the memory. Point number 2, that is called the data segment register, and or the DS. Data segment register or DS points to the data segment of the memory where the data is stored. Data segment register DS points to the data segment of the memory where the data is stored. So that is a very specific type of operation we are getting, very specific type of instructions we are getting. Point number 3, extra segment register, that is called the ES. Extra segment registers also refers to a segment in the memory which is another data segment in the memory. So extra, so that is a segment register, but it is called the extra segment, that is the additional segment register, and the notation is ES. Already we have seen. What is the task? Also refers to a segment in the memory which is another data segment in the memory. Last one is the next one is the stack segment register, that is called the SS. Is used for addressing stack segment of the memory. That is a dedicated task. Stack segment of the memory you are performing. The stack segment is that segment of the memory which is used to store stack data. That is the task that can be stored, that can be used to store the stack data or the launched particle data. Again, I am repeating. So code segment register, data segment register, extra segment register, and the stack segment register. So what is the task of the code segment register? Task is very designed or assigned. It is used for addressing memory location in the code segment of the memory where the executable program is stored. Point number 2, data segment register, that is called the DS, points to the data segment of the memory where the data is stored. Extra segment register, already we have mentioned, from the name it is clear. ES also refers to a segment in the memory where which is another data segment in the memory. And the last one is the stack segment register, that is called the SS, is used for addressing stack segment of the memory. The stack segment is that segment of the memory which is used to store stack data, that can be stored used to store only the stack data. While addressing any location in the memory bank, the physical address is calculated from the 2 parts. So physical address, we know in case of microprocessor, that is a very crucial point. So physical address, how can we calculate the physical address? Physical address is equals to segment address plus offset address. Physical address equals to segment address plus the offset address. So the first is segment address. The segment register contains 16-bit segment base address related to the different segments. So base addressing scheme in case of segment register that we are getting, that is called the 16-bit segment address we are getting related to the different segment. Different associated segments are there, different associated parts are there, but the base address, the base segment address we are getting, that is a 16-bit. Point number 2, the second part is the offset value in the segment. That will depend upon the approach, that will depend upon the requirement, but the second part is the offset value. Offset value will be there, this offset value in that segment. The last line, the last para, the last point, just now we have mentioned, that is very crucial. What we have mentioned? We have mentioned that the addressing in any location in the memory bank, the physical address requirement is calculated two parts, two different parts we are associating. Physical address equals to segment address plus offset address. Physical address equals to segment address plus offset address. The first is the segment address. The segment register contains 16-bit segment-based address. So 16-bit means that is the classification, that is the jurisdiction we are getting. That is a 16-bit segmented related to the different segment that are associated, that are related to the different segment we are getting. Second part, obviously, that is the offset value in that segment, that are the tasks we are getting. Next, the pointers and the index registers, because according to our chart, we are getting the next point, that is called the pointers and the index register. So what is this pointers and the index register, that we will see now. So the index and the pointer registers are given below. We have seen that is the IP, BP, SP, SI, DI. We will now see the full form, and we will see briefly what are the different tasks that will be performed by this different slotted portion or the slotted organizational structure. First one, we're talking about the IP. So IP, obviously, that is the instruction pointer. That is IP means that is a pointer, but what is the task? That is called the instruction pointer. Store memory location of next instruction to be executed. So what is the task of the instruction pointer? If for the MCQ purpose, if anybody asks you, that is a very simple answer. That will store the memory location of next instruction to be executed. So upcoming instruction that will be stored. That will be stored. The memory will be stored here for of the next instruction to be executed. Point number 2, that is called the BP. BP is called the base pointer. So BP is basically called the base pointer. Next one, SP, that is the stack pointer. SP is basically called the stack pointer. SI, that is called the source index. SI is called the source index. And the last one, DI, now that is the destination index. So different classification we are getting: IP, BP, SP, SI, and the DI. IP means that is the instruction pointer. What is the task? That will store memory location of next instruction to be executed. Point number 2, that is called the BP. BP is base pointer. Point number 3, that is called the SP. SP is basically the stack pointer. Next one, SI, that is the source index. And the last point we are getting, that is called the DI, or the destination index. Now, the pointers registers contain offset within the particular segmented part. So the pointer register contain the offset value within the particular, because I have in the previous case already you have seen two classification segment, that is physical address. How can we find out the physical address? The segment address plus the offset address, that will give us the physical address. So the segment address plus the offset address, that will ultimately give us the physical address. So the pointer register contain offset within the particular segments. First one, the pointer register IP contains offset within the code segment. So the pointer register IP contains offset within the code segment. Next, the pointer register BP contains the offset within the data segment. So the pointer register BP contains the offset within the data segment. Point number 3, the pointer register SP contains offset within the stack segment. So these are the different tasks. These are the different predefined tasks that will be allocated here. The index registers are used as general purpose registers as well as for offset storage in case of indexed, that is the base index and the relative base indexed addressing boards. Next point, the register SI, that is this particular SI is used to store the offset or store the offset of source data in data segment. The register DI, obviously the separate distinguished predefined tasks are there. So the register DI is used to store the offset of destination in data or extra segment. Last one, the index registers are particularly useful for string manipulation. So these are the different tasks, these are the different associated tasks we are getting. Today's last point, today's class, the last point we will discuss, that is the 8086 flag register and its function. That is the last part, that is the last thing that we will discuss in today's class. If you have any question or any doubt regarding today's class till now, please ask me. If you have any doubt, you can ask me the question. Okay, so just we'll move to our last topic, that is for today's class. That is the 8086 flag register and its function. So flag register, in case of each and in case of 8085 also, you know, there will be flag register or the flag register organization. In this case also, we are getting the flag register and different tasks that will be associated with the flag register association that we will see. So the 8086 flag register contents indicate the results of this computation in the AA loop, that is the arithmetic logic unit. It also contains some flag bits to control the CPU operation. So it can also control, that is this results of computation of the flag register content the indicate, or that will indicate the status of the results of computation of the arithmetic logic unit. That is true, but one additional task is there. What is the additional task? Additional task is that it also contains some flag bits to control the CPU operation. Point number 2, a 16-bit flag register is used in 8086. So in case of the flag register, if you see the bit structure, that is also 16-bit. So a 16-bit flag register is used in case of 8086. It is divided into two parts. One is called the condition code or status flags, and the second one is machine control flags. One is called the condition code or status flag, and second one is called the machine control flags. What is this condition? First we'll see what is this condition control flag. So the condition control code flag register is the lower byte of the 16-bit flag register. So in this case also, this lower and the higher byte concept will be implemented. So the conditions code flag register is the lower byte of the 16-bit flag register. The condition code flag register is identical to 8085 flag register with an additional overflow flag. So all the structural, all the points will be same. Only the difference is that we are adding one extra additional overflow flag. One extra additional overflow flag term we are mentioning in this case. So condition code flag register is the lower byte of the sorry. Condition code flag register is the lower byte of the 16-bit flag register. That is true. The condition code flag register is identical. That is same type of architecture we are getting for the 8085 flag register. Only one additional overflow flag is there. Point number 2, the control flag register is the higher byte of the flag register. So the condition code flag register is the lower byte of the 16-bit flag register, and the control code flag register is the higher byte of the flag register. It contains 3 flags, namely direct flag, direction flag, that is the notation is capital D. Next, interrupt flag, the notation is capital I, and the third one is a trap flag. So direction flag, that is the notation is capital D. Second one is interrupt flag, the notation is capital I, and the third one is the trap flag, that is called the capital T. So control flag register, the control flag register, 3 mainly combination of the 3 flags are there. First one is the direction flag, the notation is D. Interrupt flag, the notation is I, and the trap flag, the notation is capital T. Flag register configuration. So if you see the configuration, already you have seen. So in this case, the CF, U, PF, just you have to draw this structure, because this is the architecture of the flag register. You have to draw these things. And tasks, that is our today's task, last topic. That is the description of each flag we'll see. Each flag beat, what are the different tasks, what are the different description of each flag beat that we will see. First one is the SF. SF means that is the sign flag. SF means that is the sign flag. In case of 8085 also, we have seen the SF. This flag is set when the result of any computation is negative. That is very crucial. When the computational result is negative, this flag will be set. For signed computation, the sign flag equals to MSB of the result. That is a very crucial or the very important part. The sign flag computation of the sign flag equals the MSB of the result. Point number 2, that is the zero flag or the ZF. The notation is ZF, full form is zero flag. This flag is set if the result of the computation of the comparison performed on the previous instruction is 0. Then only that will be set. So ZF or the zero flag, this flag is set, that will be set if the result of the computation or comparison performed by the previous instruction is 0. Point number 3, that is called the PF or the flag number 3 according to this particular note, that is called the PF. The full form is parity flag. This flag will be set 1 if the lower byte of the result contains even number of 1s. So we know what is the task of the parity. The parity, 2 different types of parities might be there. What parity or with parity we know. You have studied these things in your digital electronics. But in this case, the parity flag, the PF flag, this flag is set to 1. That will be set to high or to 1 if the lower byte of the result contains even number of 1s. Next, the CF, the full form is carry flag. This flag is set when there is a carry out of a MSB. Obviously, in case of MSB, if there is a carry, then this flag will be set. In case of addition or a borrow, in case of subtraction. And in case of addition, the MSB, this flag will be set if the MSB is carry out, the output in this case. And in case of addition, that will be done. But in case of subtraction, if we take any borrow, then this carry flag will be set. Next, auxiliary carry or carry flag, that is called the AF. So this is set if there is a carry from the lowest nibble, that is bit 3 duration addition, or borrow from the lowest nibble, that is bit 3 duration during subtraction. So that is the task of the auxiliary carry, and the notation is AF. Next one, OF, that is the overflow flag. This flag is set if an overflow occurs, that is the result of a signed operation is large enough to accommodate in a destination register. The result is of more than 7 bit in size in case of 8-bit signed operation, and more than 15 bit in case of size of the 16-bit operation, and then the overflow will be set. That are the different tasks that we are mentioning. TF, that is called the TAR flag. So if this flag is set, the processor enters the single step execution mode. The processor executes the current instruction and the control is transferred to the trap instruction service log. That is a trap. That is a, we know that is a trap flag. Trap means that is a located or the locked type of instruction or the execution data we are getting. Next one, IF, full form is interrupt flag. If this flag is set, the maskable, that is the maskable and the non-maskable interrupts are there. So if IF interrupt flag that is set, the maskable interrupts are recognized by the CPU, otherwise they are ignored. Last one, that is called the direction flag. This is used by the string of manipulation instructions. If this flag bit is 0, the string is processed beginning from the lowest address to the highest address, that is auto increment mode. Otherwise, the string is processed from the highest addresses towards the lowest address, that is the auto declaration mode. So these are the different flag names of the flag architecture, because very, very important. This type of questions you may face in your exam, because they might ask, draw the architecture of the 8086 flag register architecture and then describe each and every operation. The next class also we'll discuss about the flag a little bit, when I will discuss briefly discuss the different topics that I have discussed in today's class. Then we will discuss the flag register. Before that, just go through this particular different topics that I have discussed in today's class, because next week you have the internal. That will be 15 marks internal, the CA1. 15 MCQ will be there. Very simple questions I will give. So don't take any tension, but study well. The topics already I have covered. This type of questions will be there, and the basic things might be asked from the 8085 architecture also. And this associated very simple questions will be there, but only the MCQ questions you will get, and just study well. And if you have any doubt, you can contact me anytime. So that's all for today's class. Next week we will meet again and we'll continue our discussion. If you have any doubt, you may ask me, or otherwise give me the attendance. So today's class, Vivek Pradhan is present. Hira Sharma, Kritika Rai, I think another name was there. He is not currently in the room. Can you tell me the name? We have received another person was there. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. That's all for today's class. Next week we will meet again. Best of luck for your internal. Study well. So next week we will continue our discussion. Thank you. Thank you very much.